Hi, we're going to get some experience using APIs that require OAuth 2.0 or 1.0 authentication, so we can get used to using header requests and maybe body requests as well. So I found this website that offers financial data, and they had a free basic tier that we can use. So let's go ahead and just sign up for this and see what kind of options we can get. So I'm here at polygon.io. And they give an option to create an API key right here. So that's what we're going to do. It'll probably require us, to create a new account first. So you can create one if you want to, or I think I like the idea of signing up with GitHub. I'm going to use that account that I already have. There we go. Hopefully it has my GitHub password right. We'll see. All right, better check my email. All right, plug in my code. Okay. Yep. All right, that was pretty easy. We've got our account now and our API key. They offer it in plain text. Some, you'll notice that some will not even show you the API key after it's first generated. They'll have you create it once, and then once it's created, they'll never show it to you again. And if you ever need it, your API key again, you'll have to regenerate a new one. And that just helps an added layer of security. It's fine that they don't. It's not a big deal. It just means that we want to make sure we use a password or account for this that people can't hack into easily. But looks like we've got what we need to right here. Let's take a look at some of the documentation, and I'm just going to copy that in memory. All right, so stocks, options, indices, we're going to keep it simple. And looks like we have on the basic tier here the ability to make 5 API calls a minute. That should be plenty to learn how to do this. Let's see, let's take a look at their RESTful web service documentation. Here's our URL, and it looks like they've given us 2 options here. And this is pretty common. We can either put the API key directly in here, and this would make it a parameter, or we can use it here in an OAuth 2.0 format where it's going to be sent in a header. And because I want you to have the experience learning how to use this method, that's what we're going to do. So let's take a look through the rest of the documentation they've given us here. Looks like this is, all right, here's our endpoint. So ticker symbol, multiplier. Interesting. Okay, so they've got some examples down here of how it's going to work and what values we might put in there, and then what responses we can get back. Cool. Next URL, interesting. Results, closing, opening price, high, low. Not sure what the end means. I'll have to look that one up. Cool. This looks nice. This will be a good experience. So down here, I think they've given us an example of what we might put in and run. Let's run that query. Here we go. Gives us the results back. This looks like this must be today's Apple price. This is good documentation. Some, you'll notice different sites are better than others at making their documentation really easy. And well, because this is a paid service, they're trying to make money off of it. Naturally, they're going to make the documentation really good and helpful. But this is more than we need. Let's copy this right here. And I'm going to head back to our code that we were working on before. I'm going to add a new header here. We'll call this one polygon.io case. And let's go ahead and create everything we need down here. Now, if you need to, you can take a look above. We've already imported everything, but I'm going to import stuff again just so each cell can be independent of the others. We've got that. Now, there's several things. There is, actually, I didn't see any body data, but we're going to have headers. And a header is going to be formatted as a dictionary, as you might remember from the last example. And we're going to start with authorization. And this is just the common format used for all OAuth 2.0 specifications. It's going to say bearer, and then space, and then that's where we're going to paste in the API key. So let's make a variable called key Oh, I forgot to. I lost my. Actually, let me come down here and add the URL since I've got it copied in memory from that website. And then let me go back and grab my key again. All right. Let's see here, my key. There we go. So I'll paste the key in there. We've got this. Apple, we can change that as we want. We can change dates, adjusted, sort, API key. Oh, I don't want to do it this way. I'm going to take the API key out of here because I'm trying to demonstrate how we would use it in a header instead of including it as a parameter like we did in some of our prior examples. All right. I think that's all we'll need for this one. Let's go ahead and give this a shot here. So I'm going to make a new rec equals requests .get. We're going to plug in our URL, our headers, and just so you know, these are named parameters. So we could say URL equals URL, and headers equals headers. But again, depending on how different libraries and packages are created, it's expecting the first position, the first item has to be a URL, so we don't necessarily have to name it because it knows it's going to be the URL. However, everything else, if we name it, I think this has to be headers, then we don't necessarily have to put them in the same order. You might remember from our last example, we can have body equals body or data, whatever we call it, but it looks like this case doesn't require us to have any body data. But the body would be formatted similar to the headers dictionary, but we would have to, if you remember from our prior example, we would have to encode the body as JSON before we send it. And that's it. That's the only difference. And then in that case, it's called not body, it's called data. There it is, equals body. Anyway, but it looks like for this example, we won't need it. So let's give that a shot. And then we're going to... let's JSONify the result there. And just as a reminder of how that looks, it's JSON.loads and we pass in the request.text. So we're going to come down here and call it result or whatever we want equals JSON.loads, pass in rec.text, and let's print out result and see what we get. I'll probably have some error or some bug to work on, but we'll see. Oh, mounting Google Drive now all of a sudden. Initializing. Oh, had to restart my... There we go. Hey, what do you know? We got it all right the first time. So here's ticker Apple. We could go back to their documentation to see what each one of these things stand for. But I think that's, like I said, opening, closing for that particular date. Where's the date? I know we put it right here, but I don't see given back to us in the result. Well, I'm going to put in today's date. What is it today? I'm in August, and I think it's the 18th. Oh, I forgot to adjust this date too. Oh, the parameter 2 could not be a time that occurs right here. So I see the first one is, it's from this date right here. Or sorry, from this date to that date. So this date has to be before that date. So actually I better go back a day and then see if this will work. I'm not sure if it's this up to date. From the 17th, so from yesterday to today. Let's see if this works. There we go. All right, so opening, I assume that is yesterday then today. To close, they've gone down a little bit. Status delayed. Cool. Well, let's dig into their documentation and see what else we can do with this. I'm going to go ahead and add another code cell. And let's go back here and take a look. So that's the aggregate bars. Let's see, grouped daily. Oh, here's our, and this gives us, gets the daily open, high, low, and close for the entire stocks equities market. Oh, interesting. Yeah. Stocks. Yeah, that's a cool one. Let's see what else we got here. Daily, open, close. So instead of the aggregate, so this one, the first one we tried was over several days. This one's just a daily. I think we can use that one too. Let's see what else they've got for us. Trades. Oh, I wonder if this allows us to make trades. Timestamp order. Yeah, that's kind of cool. Reference data endpoints. Let's see what else they've got here. Tickers. That's kind of cool. All right. Well, let's keep this simple and let's do. I like this daily open close, and maybe we'll make a series of calls that just lets us get the data over time. A lot of students like to play with stock market data and will want daily opens and closes. That's a nice way to get it. So I'm going to copy this URL. I'm going to go back to here. In fact, I'm just going to copy this, paste it down, which means I've then got to go recopy this again. Copy URL. Now, I noticed they said we only have 5 requests per minute. So what I want to do, hoping I get this right, oh, let me get rid of that key again, is I want to, and by the way, the reason why I like this is it's slightly more secure than putting it up here. Yes, true, this URL is encrypted. It's over HTTPS. It can still be captured and listened, possibly cracked, I guess. But it's a little more secure to send it over a header. So I'm going to do it that way. But what I want to do now is let's automate this. If I'm allowed 5 requests, then what I want to do is make a list of dates, and then let's request each date and put them into a data frame. That'd be a good example. So I'm going to copy, actually not copy, I'm going to put in curly braces, call that date. We're going to change this to an F string. So now this treats date as a variable that can be updated. And let's make a series of dates here, or a list, and let's just put them all in there. So I'm going to do, let's see, what was the format? Year 2023 dash 08 dash 01, and then let's make 5 dates. And I'll just go through 5. Oops. 2, 3, 4. All right. Next, I'm going to make a loop to go through those and then just call this for each one of them, and then actually put the results into data frame. So let me call this once real quick here. I'm just going to throw this just so we can get the format so that we know how to put it into a data frame. So I'm going to leave this alone right here and just simply put one of these dates back in temporarily. Print out those results. There we go. And now I'll go back to having it as a variable. So now I'm going to make my for loop for date and dates. We're going to make the request. We're going to put it into a JSON dictionary. Rather than print it out though, I want to put it in a data frame. So let's create our data frame first. Frame, which means I better add pandas up here. And then down here, columns equals. And let's get each of these things here. So we want status. I don't know how important status is. Let's make it a date. And then symbol, sure. I'm just going to go through and rename these instead of copying them in. Open, that makes sense to me. High, low, close, those all make sense. Volume, definitely. How much was actually traded during the day. After hours and pre-market. Not being a finance guy, I have to take a look at that. I don't know exactly what that means, but why not? Let's get them. After hours. I'm sure it's obvious to some of you who are finance people, and that was a dumb thing for me to not know, but that's okay. All right. I think that's all we want. Now all I'm going to do is come through here and say, let's make a new record in the data frame, df.loc. And as you probably noticed in prior examples, the way I like to do this is say length of df, because the first time through when this is created, the length, meaning the number of rows in this, is 0. And so this means create an index 0. And let's start there at the 0 position and set that equal to, and now we'll make our list of values that we'll put in place here. And that way, the next time it goes through each date, it's going to, the first time through the loop, the length of this data frame will now be 1. So the next time through, it'll now make this position 1, and then position 2, and then 3, and then 4, as it goes through and adds each of them. So this is a really clean dictionary. It makes it really easy to get these results back and put them in a data frame. This is a clean dictionary too. The only difference is it's got a list inside of a dictionary. So there's our list. And that list contains dictionaries in it. So you'd have to drill down a little bit deeper, which is really easy to do. It's not complicated. And hopefully you've seen that example before. In fact, you know what? We'll do this one next, just so we get a chance to show you both types. Okay, but for here, let's just continue on with this example, and we're going to put each of these values in. Now, how do I reference this value, this date? Well, this date object is what represents everything in this dictionary. So I'm going to reference the dictionary, and then how do I reference an individual value in a dictionary? Well, I refer to the key associated with that value. So if I want this value date, I need to reference the key from. So the way I reference a key is with this notation, from. So that will go in the first column in the data frame, which is right there. All right, so now I'm just going to sit here and copy this several times for symbol open, high, low, close, volume, after hours pre-market. Delete that last comma, I don't need it, and I'm just going to sit here. Oh, those aren't my, well, actually, no, they do all match up the rest of the way through. So it's not these names I want to use, it's these names that I want to use. It just happens to be that they're the same. So I'm just going to go through and copy them from here. Copy, whoops, paste. All right, and it could be that I've forgotten something. I often do, so maybe there's a bug somewhere, but I'm just going to print this out when it's done. And let's just talk through this one more time. So I've got a list of dates I want stock prices for. Now, I could generate this list dynamically. I don't have to spell out every date like this. You could use Python to generate a list of whatever you want. You want a year's worth, you want 365 dates. You could do that, auto-generate it without having to type all of them in. But that's another problem for another day, because we can only make 5 requests per minute according to the license limits for Polygon.io. So anyway, I'm just going to print the whole data frame because I only get 5 records out of this, and that's all it's going to print anyway. I create the new data frame right here. The URL, now I need, okay, so I one thing I need to do is when I come in here, it's going to make a request. And I need to make this request from a dynamic URL, meaning this date needs to change each time through the loop. So my headers will never change and my key will never change, but my URL will change each time with a different date. And I could also make it use a different stock symbol as well. I don't have to do Apple. But because I need this to change every time, I'm going to need to put this URL down here inside the loop as well. So for date and dates, each date, and I'm sorry, I said earlier this date represents this object down here. That's incorrect. I wasn't thinking when I said that. This date represents each of the dates in this list right here. So this date right here is going to change to each one of these dates in the list each time through the loop. And so it's not date, I made a mistake here. It's not date that I want to reference down here. The object is result. So hopefully a lot of you caught my mistake earlier as I was talking through this and figured out what I meant. But if not, don't worry. These, you get bugs and then you realize your mistakes and you fix it and you move on. That's just part of programming. But what's going to happen is it's going to create a new URL with a new date in it out of this list. It's going to make a request to that date, get the result back. And then when we add a new row to the data frame, I just have to reference properly result, like we did up here when we printed out result, and down here. But anyway, I need to reference result and not date. So I'm just going to go through and paste these over the top. This is getting really long, so I might just go ahead and enter down a line. Put this on 2 lines. There we go. I think my logic is good now. I've probably forgotten something else, but let's give it a try. Oh, PD is not defined. Pandas as PD. There we go. My package, I hadn't renamed it right here. Now let's try it. Built-in object not subscriptable. Let me think here for a second. What that error means is that this object right here, result, that I'm trying to subscript a key value from, is saying it's not possible to do that. In other words, it's not recognizing it as a dictionary object that I can simply reference this way. So I'm going to come right here and simply print out result dot actually type result, just to see what type of object I'm getting back here. Maybe my request is formatted bad, maybe it's not coming back quite right. And then I'm going to break right here so I don't run this 5 times. So let's run that and see what we get. It does say that it's class dictionary, which is all I need to be able to reference. Oh, I see my problem. Hopefully some of you caught this too. Right there. See, this length is a function. You don't use square brackets in a function, you use parentheses. So hopefully some of you caught that as well. If not, again, that's just part of programming. It's amazing how hard it is to write code correctly when you're recording a video or people are watching you versus doing it on your own. Anyway, I think we're good now. I'm going to go ahead and delete this back out. It will probably give me an error because there's a limit here on how many requests I can make per minute, and I just ran a request, so I should only have 4 left unless I wait a minute. So what I might do is put in a try catch right here, just to be safe, and if it were to give me an error back, or actually not a try catch because that wouldn't give me an error. What I'd get back is some sort of error message in my result. So I would put the try right here. If my result is not something that has all of this data in it, I'll probably get some sort of error message saying you've made too many requests over the last minute. This is where I want to put my try catch. And I'm going to say, or try catch, it's except in Python. I'm just going to print out result if that doesn't work. And then, there we go. Let's call that good and give that a shot. Okay, perfect. This is exactly what I thought. So because I made 1 request earlier, I only had 4 more requests left in that minute. And on the 5th request, I couldn't insert a row with each of these values because the result I got back was this: status not find, request ID, message data not found, which is what Polygon.io gives back when you've exceeded your usage limits. But I was able to get the first 4, and it threw the data there nicely for me into a data frame, and now I've got stock market data. Really cool.